Be careful out there, guys. After calling on truckers to boycott driving to New York City in response to the civil fraud judgment that fined Trump more than $350 million last week, Chicago Ray has taken back his call to action and took the video down after it went viral, and he said that his grandson saw it on TikTok. Still, he said that he stands with Trump 100%. Truckers for Trump. He says he's his own man, period. But you really gotta wonder, are we sure there wasn't any outside or government pressure here? Chicago Ray's original post read, "My advice for New Yorkers is start stocking up. There's millions of truckers for Trump, millions of us. Leave Trump TF alone." Now, I can definitely imagine some shadowy government entity reaching out and threatening him to take it down. But the movement has certainly begun. Elena Cardone, the wife of wealthy real estate investor Grant Cardone, created a GoFundMe page called Stand with Trump. Fund the $355 million unjust judgment. This as a Canadian court found the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's use of the country's Emergencies Act to end a truck convoy protest that had paralyzed the capital, Ottawa, 2 years ago was an unjust infringement of civil rights, including the protection against unreasonable search and seizure, and in some instances, the freedom of expression as well. Meaning that a potential trucker protest in New York City could definitely stand up in court coming from a legal perspective. In fact, I even found language from the Georgetown University Law Center talking about trucker convoys or other vehicular demonstrations. They say that as long as drivers are not violating state or local laws or threatening public safety, the activity is likely protected by the Constitution. All this and more as we explore the legal aspect of the potential New York City trucker protest in today's video. Stay right there, guys. And before we get any further, all I ask of you guys is drop a quick like for the video. Totally appreciate that. And I cannot thank you guys enough for always sharing these videos. The channel totally appreciates it. Now, I'm telling you guys, this new Canada court ruling against Prime Minister Justin Trudeau could be just what this New York City trucker protest needs to change the game. They're basically saying that Trudeau's actions against the trucker convoy protests in Canada were unreasonable. Check this out.
Okay, so let's just go over the language that the judge used in terms of his conclusion, saying, "I have concluded that the decision to issue the proclamation," that would be the invoking of the Emergencies Act, "does not bear the hallmarks of reasonableness, justification, transparency, and intelligibility, and was not justified in relation to the relevant factual and legal constraints that were required to be taken into consideration."
People in Canada comment how they all knew it was unlawful before the judge decided so. Now, this could just be the legal backing the NYC truck protesters need to support their cause, especially as a lot of people are worried that these truckers are being threatened to stop their protests from even starting. Rumors say this is what happened with Chicago Ray taking down his Truckers for Trump post less than 24 hours after his call to action. So according to him, he took down the video because it went viral and his grandson saw it on TikTok. Still, he stands with Trump 100%. Truckers for Trump and all that. Chicago Ray continued writing that drivers can make their own decisions based on their families and their careers. He says he's not the leader of any movement, but he's his own man, period. He ends it with "God bless America, God bless Trump, and God bless every truck driver in this country." But you know, you gotta wonder, right? Did somebody get to Chicago Ray and pressure him to take it down? Did the government have something to do with this? I mean, the current administration definitely has a track record of using government resources against former President Donald Trump. And there's the fact that Chicago Ray's posts in this New York City trucker protest are in response to Trump being barred from operating his business in New York for 3 years and being found liable for more than $350 million in damages in the civil fraud case brought against him, his family, and the Trump organization. New York Judge Arthur Ergonon handed down his ruling last week after a months-long trial that began in October and stemmed from the lawsuit that accused the former president of inflating his assets and committing fraud. As a result, many pro-Trump truck drivers across the country have not taken the ruling lightly. Chicago Ray's original post said something like, "Advice for New Yorkers is start stocking up. There's millions of truckers for Trump, millions, so leave Trump the F alone." Now, a lot of comments on that original post as well. Most showing support for the former president and truck drivers not taking shipments to New York City. One mentioned how they thanked every truck driver that's participating in the refusal to deliver to New York City, and even those who have no choice because they have families and they really can't afford not to do it. Basically, we appreciate our truckers one way or the other. Another commented, "God bless each of the truck drivers taking a stand against corruption." Then there's Elena Cardone, the wife of wealthy real estate investor Grant Cardone. She created a GoFundMe page called Stand with Trump. fund the $355 million unjust judgment. Since launching the fundraiser, it has taken in more than $500,000. Her husband explained on Twitter that 100% of the funds will be forwarded to the Trump Organization for his defense of this ridiculous judgment. Grant Cardone expressed his support too, saying that he stands unwaveringly with President Donald Trump in the face of what he sees as unprecedented and unfair treatment of certain judicial elements in New York. He also added that the recent legal battles Trump faces are not just an attack on him, but an attack on the very ideals of fairness and due process that every American deserves. For a lot of people, this is the easiest boycott ever. They're saying this is the consequence of letting the lies go unchallenged over and over again. Some are even saying that they should have boycotted New York a long time ago, along with many other states, that businesses should pack up and leave New York too. No doubt, people are getting tired of the legal system being misused. What do you guys think? This is definitely a complex issue with a lot of moving parts, so I appreciate you guys hanging in there. Now, before we dive into the second half, I wanted to just kind of take a second just to kind of ask for your support. If you guys are really appreciating this video and you want to see more content like this, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. And if you really want to help out the channel a ton, definitely share out this video. Sharing this video helps the channel immensely, so thank you so much. So let's jump back into the discussion. I mean, it sure is funny how the media all of a sudden loves the trucking industry. As I read in a comment from one of you guys recently, New York needs 3 things to survive: farmers, truckers, and troops. And I think this New York City boycott is definitely causing some major concerns in the city. And the new court ruling coming from Canada about their own truck convoy protest could certainly help out when it comes to legal backing for this. So basically, a Canadian court found that the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's use of the country's Emergencies Act to end a truck convoy protest that had paralyzed the capital, Ottawa, 2 years ago was an unjustified infringement of civil rights, including the protection against unreasonable search and seizure, and in some instances, the freedom of expression as well. The Federal Court of Canada's decision also found that the freezing of bank accounts of people linked to the protests was similarly unjustified. And you only have to look at what happened to Canada to see how big these trucker protests can get. The protests in Ottawa rendered most of the city's downtown streets impassable, clogging them with parked trucks. Judge Mosley said that the evidence from the 2 civil rights groups that brought the lawsuit against the government persuaded him that the decision to issue the proclamation does not bear the hallmarks of reasonableness, justification, transparency, and intelligibility, and was not justified in relation to the relevant factual and legal constraints. Man, this is exactly what people are saying about the ruling against Trump in the $355 million fraud case. And as for the Ottawa trucker protest, the judge ruled that it did not amount to serious violence or threats of serious violence, and it did not constitute threats or the use of serious violence to persons or property. Here too in the United States, a trucker protest like they're talking about in New York City should stand up in court. So here's what Georgetown University Law Center had to say about the Freedom Convoy a while back. If drivers are participating in a political demonstration, e.g. in a procession displaying political insignia, flags, etc., they are not violating state or local laws or threatening public safety. The activity is protected by the Constitution. Law enforcement may ensure that traffic keeps flowing easily, including by directing traffic at intersections and helping pedestrians to safely cross streets, for example. Law enforcement should endeavor to foster the protected activity while protecting public safety. Also, law enforcement should not discriminate in the enforcement of traffic or other laws based on the viewpoint of the demonstrators. Now again, this is all from Georgetown University Law Center. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a tax advisor. This is not law advice. So there's your disclaimer. Anyway, looking back, so the People's Convoy, as they called it in DC, which protested vaccine mandates and aired other right-wing grievances by driving around DC region for more than 3 weeks, may be what started this kind of movement here in the United States. The protests didn't quite accomplish what they had set out to do, but researchers point out how these people are still in the region and others returned home to their local communities armed with more information and backing for their next wave. As a Monmouth University graduate student who studies this kind of social media rhetoric said, the convoy is everywhere. These people are everywhere and will run for office, and they will try to be in charge of running elections and ballot counting and poll watching. It's important to imagine a scenario in which a trucker protest in New York City could escalate to the whole country, all of the United States for that matter. For example, if the protesters' grievances were widely shared by truckers across the country, and if the protests in New York City are met with a heavy-handed extended police response, then there could be backlash from truckers in other states. This could lead to sympathy, protests, and even strikes, which could disrupt the supply chain and have a significant impact on the economy. So as you can see, this is a very urgent and very complex issue with far-reaching implications for the whole of America. So it's important to stay informed, guys. Let me know your thoughts about all this. Share your perspective in the comment section down below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more in-depth discussions on current events here in the United States. Until next time, y'all take care.